Sometimes you just got to go back to your roots. Maytallica did it, and they wrote their best song in 30 years. Roll the intro. All right. What's up, guys? Man, it has been a long time since I've done this. For those of you that are new to my channel or haven't been here in the past year or so, I used to do a weekly show called Will Drum for Food, where I would just literally get up and talk about whatever the hell I feel like talking about. And today, I'm actually editing my video, my next video, and I hate editing. I hate it. Like out of this whole thing that we do, editing a video is my least favorite thing to do. I don't mind getting cameras set up. I don't mind figuring out lighting. I love mixing. That's what I love to do. But the editing process is just like, I just want to get it done. And I'm sitting here, I got all the footage in my editor right now, and I just can't bring myself to just get going on it. And once I get going, you know, it's like mowing a lawn. Once you get it, it's not that bad and actually goes pretty quick. But it's just the whole process of getting it all together, especially on this particular track. I had several takes that I did of it and trying to figure out which one I actually ended up using. And man, it sucks. I just don't like it. Which leads me to my reason for what's the reason for this show? You're like, what? You're watching, you're like, Jeff, why are you here? Well, the reason I'm here is I'm going to plug something this week that I have never done before. This is a first for my channel. I'm not going to premiere my newest cover on my channel. As you guys are aware, for some of you are not aware, okay, so let's talk about the people that aren't aware. This is the month of Maytallica. Us in the community will just kick out a whole bunch of Maytallica covers or whatever. I'm doing 4 this month. You already saw my one last week. My next one is, I'm not going to premiere it on my channel first. You're not going to see it here first. You're actually going to see it on Jay's show, The Music Musician Friday Night. For those of you under the age of 35, maybe 30, there used to be this network called MTV, Music Television. That's not the MTV now, where it's like, apparently the M stands for shitty reality show. It used to be Music Television. Now, back from my day, I'm starting sounding old, but they played videos. It was really cool, man. It was a cool thing they did. Which reminds me, it was MTV, and then they started doing all the reality show crap. And they're like, well, we'll come out with MTV2 and we'll put videos in MTV2. And now MTV2 is nothing but fucking reality. Did I just swear? MTV was the greatest thing to happen to music. And at the same time, it was the worst thing to happen to music, because nothing could take a band and blow them up at some point like MTV. I mean, Guns N' Roses is the perfect example. They played Welcome to the Jungle one time at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's the best the label could get MTV to do. And it just blew up, man. I mean, they just immediately blew up after that. So MTV was great in a sense of what they could do to a band. MTV was bad for ugly people, guys like me. All of a sudden, it didn't become like how good your songs were or how good of a musician you were. It was all about what you looked like, you know. Perfect example, man. I think one of the greatest bands ever to exist in any time frame whatsoever was Supertramp, man. What happened? Breakfast in America is a brilliant album. And what happened after MTV? Nobody wanted to see Supertramp anymore, you know. Steely Dan, another band, it just disappeared once MTV started. You know, it became the image. Then you had crap like Poison and but there was one band that bucked the trend, and that was Maytallica. And I remember Maytallica wouldn't even put out a video, man. It was like they never put out a video until one came out. That band, for you guys that don't know and weren't around then, like the influence they had on those of us that play music, play rock, play metal, who are in this, like Gen Xers in general, man. I mean, Maytallica was a huge freaking influence on me. Huge. Lars, as much as people shit on the guy, and rightfully so, Lars does not care about his craft. And that's one thing that really irritates me about Lars. Lars does not care about being better as a drummer. Lars is just all about Maytallica. And at some points it's good, and at other points it's bad, And if you listen to him live, the guy's a freaking train wreck. It's like, dude, just play the freaking part. But at the same time, he was a huge influence on me. I do this thing where I'll play a fill and I'll start on like the 3 and I'll go past. I won't end on 1. I won't crash on 1. I'll go past and I'll end on 2 with a snare head. Like that. And that's straight out of Lars, man. That's straight out of Lars' playbook. He was an influence on me. He really was. So anyways, the whole reason I'm doing this weekend is to promote my video. It's going to be on Jay's show this week. And then kind of talk about why I do YouTube. Why do I do this? You heard me mention before, I don't like editing. I really just don't like editing videos. It's boring. Why do I do this? I love recording music that I love. You will never, ever see me do a cover of a song I don't like. And that's the cool thing about my channel is I can look down at every drum cover I've done, all 100 of them, going way back to the beginning, to my very first drum cover when the levee breaks, recorded it on an iPad. I love every song I've ever recorded. And this, for me, is a way to blow off steam. I was always real concerned about growth and growing my channel. And one day I was just like, I was talking to Jay and Michael Johnson about this, and Tony and Steve Cox about, I don't understand YouTube. Like, I don't understand how to grow on this freaking platform as a guy doing drum covers. Just don't get it. I think if you got in the beginning and the ground floor, it was a lot easier. And now there's so many of us doing it that just trying to grow is so hard. And if you worry about growing, if you worry about being a success, you're going to drive yourself nuts. Because I made a comment on a video that I actually understand women more than I understand the YouTube algorithm. And I think these guys have these channels that how to grow your channel, like Nick Nimmin, and they have some good advice and creator fundamentals, but I think they're freaking snake oil salesmen. They're like a modern day Piper. Shut up. Get down here and heel right now. Here she comes. Piper, come heel. Good girl. Good girl. Yeah. See, Piper making an appearance on a video. Piper hasn't made an appearance on a video in a while. Anyways, so these guys like Nick Nimmin and Creator Fundamentals, like I was saying before, I think they're snake oil salesmen. I think they get views and subscribers and make money by just trying to convince people that you too can grow on YouTube. And, let's face it, man, a lot of it's just luck. If you try to, I had a video that was hitting, like it was picked up in the algorithm. It was suggested. It was getting like 600 or 700 impressions a day. And it was a lesson video. And it's honestly, it's the best freaking lesson I've ever put out. It's a really good lesson. It is. And people were responding to it. It was getting in front of people and they were responding to it. The problem is, there are 900 other drum lessons. There's 900 other guys out there showing how to play the Purdy Shuffle or the Halftime Shuffle or like Fool in the Rain. There's all kinds of those lessons out there. The thing is I did it a little different and people were responding to it. And all of a sudden, YouTube pulled the plug on it. And I can't understand why, to this day, they pulled the plug on that video and quit suggesting it. I don't get it, man. I had like probably a couple months of just really shitty growth. And now it's starting to come back a little bit. And I won't do that sub for sub crap. I won't troll for subs. Just won't do it. Like if you come on my channel and you say, oh, support each other, I'm freaking deleting you right away. I will not sub you when you do that. I was guilty of doing that when I first started, and I realized how uncool it is because I've noticed half the people that do that, they unsubscribe. Like they subscribe to you and then boom, they unsubscribe a month later. They have no interest in what you're putting out. So if somebody comes on your channel and says, hey, check out my video, or let's support each other, or anything crap like that, just don't even respond to them. Like I just put them in the spam file. Getting back to Maytallica, they did it on their own, man. They did what they did, and like they never put out a music video till one, and they ascended like this. And I remember, like I used to race BMX when I was like 11 years old. Like I was pretty serious into it, like 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I was really like until drums started to really take over in my life. I raced BMX. Like all the older guys that I would race with, they were like into Maytallica, and I'd hear about Maytallica in how heavy they were, and like when you're a kid, you listen to the older guys, and like they're heavily influenced on you, But I always thought they were like the Devil Band or something like that. It was like there was something like I never really listened to. I was into Def Leppard, and then one day, this kid named Ralph, who was in band with me, he showed up with this. He had it on tape, and he's like, "You've got to hear this freaking album, man." He was a drummer. I was a drummer. He's like, "You got to hear this album." And he popped it in, and first like, dun, 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 and I was like, whoa, oh my God, I never heard anything like that. At that point, I was kind of in Iron Maiden a little bit. I was really into Def Leppard and the new wave of British heavy metal bands, Judas Priest. I was really into those bands. I never heard anything like this, man. And they did it their own way. And that was the thing about that band. They didn't compromise in the early days. And I think they get a lot of undeserved crap because people talking about the Napster thing and all that crap. And the Napster thing, freaking Lars was right, man. Anybody that's ever been in the music business, if you weren't in the music business, if you don't understand how much damage that did to bands. It was for 50 years, 60 years, 70, 80 years, for however long it was, bands depended on record sales. And overnight, that went away. And nobody could see it at the time. The record labels didn't see it. Lars, God bless him, he's a douchebag, but he saw it. He was 100% right about Napster. 1,000% right. It destroyed the industry. And I'm not saying that the industry deserved to be destroyed, but while it was destroying the industry, it destroyed a lot of really good bands. And it destroyed it took away a major amount of, just a huge amount of income from musical acts, and now they got to go out on the road and just tour like crazy to make the same kind of money they made before. And I'm not, it has its upside and it has its downside. The downside is, and this is a major downside now, is the record labels will not take a chance ever. They will never, ever take a chance on a new genre or just something that's a little different, that new sound. Guns N' Roses couldn't happen now. Nirvana couldn't happen now. Run DMC couldn't happen now. And it's kind of sad, It's kind of sad. The ability for these new acts to get into the mainstream. And the best way to do it is still a record label. A record label going out and promoting your album and getting it out there. I think the best way to do YouTube is to just go out and enjoy yourself and try to have some fun with it. So thanks for listening to my yammering, guys, and I'll see you next time.